What's up, guys? This is Nico from Limitless, and today I have a very fun and healthy deck for you. Should not be you should not be taking this deck too serious because it's mainly a fun deck. I mean, you can't really call a deck like this fun, but yeah, not to be taken too serious, which also is the reason why this is the first episode of Diglett's Cave. Opposite to Victory Road, which of course is where you in the games go through before taking on the Elite Four. So you should have a good deck when you want to take on Victory Road. But Diglett's Cave is just it's just a few Diglets, so yeah, you can just take your trash decks and just play them. So yeah, today we are taking a look at Sableye Raichu. Sableye, limitation for 1 darkness energy, prevents our opponent from using any supporter cards during the next turn. So yeah, pretty basic, similar to Executor from Plasma Freeze, if I'm not mistaken, which also prevented your opponent with blockade, prevented your opponent from using any supporter cards, a deck that was very strong when Licensed Trump card was around. And yeah, but why do we want to prevent our opponent from using supporter cards, you might ask yourself? Well, that's a very good question. It is because of Raichu. Evo Shock ability: when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. Yeah, you can already see the synergy. What is the most common card to get out of paralysis or sleep, or basically anything that makes your active Pokemon unable to move? It's Guzma. What is Guzma? Guzma is a supporter card. Switch is not really played anymore. So yeah, by preventing your opponent from using any supporter cards when you used Evo Shock, just prevents them from being able to switch. This is also what we could see during the International Championship in London, when Raichu Heatmore made top 16, and that's basically the same concept. But back then, you just used Raichu, and you recycled your Devolution sprays with Heatmore so that you can Evo Shock each turn. This deck is a little bit different, but the concept as a whole is basically the same. Next up, another very important piece for the combo is Hydreigon. Hydreigon's readout, once during our turn, allows us to choose 3 of our bench Pokemon. These stay on our bench, and the rest is discarded. And yeah, we just use Hydreigon to discard our evolved Pikachus. And after we have them in the discard, we just shuffle them back into our deck so that we are able to reuse them. But to be able to pull off this combo, you have to draw through your deck. And there's a very prominent card that has been featured in a variety of decks that allows you exactly that each turn, no matter how many cards in hand you have. So Octillery and Oranguru would probably not work with this deck because your hand is way too big, but it's Zoroark. Trade, obviously, you discard 1 card and draw 2 cards. So yeah, you discard 1 useless card, and ideally you draw into Raichu and Pikachu to keep pulling off your combo. But all of this sounds a little bit fishy. I mean, sure, you discard your Raichus and shuffle them back, and then you draw cards. But you might ask yourself, but I only draw up to 4 cards. How am I guaranteed to draw 2 Pikachus and a Raichu each turn? Or Raichu is fine if you draw it the turn after, but how do you guarantee yourself to draw 2 Pikachus? That's a very easy answer. It's Brock's Grid. Supporter card, shuffle 6 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energies back into your deck. So yeah, we use Hydreigon, discard our Raichu, use Brock's Grid, shuffle Raichu and Pikachu back into your deck, use Trade, draw Pikachu and Raichu, put them onto our bench. And yeah, the entire goal, which also is accomplished by using Zoroark, you discard a lot of cards. You discard all your useless cards. You discard, I mean, let me go through my deck first, and then I will just tell you which cards are these useless cards you can discard. We have 1 Tapu Lele to grab a supporter card, Bridget in the early turns, for example, or a Galadion if we have to get something for our prices, a Guzma if we have to stall, a Lusamine if we just miss her, or just Sycamore if we have enough basic Pokemon and just have to get rid of our hand to draw a lot of cards, or N if we, for example, have 3 or 4 rare candies in hand, or multiple rare candies, or other cards that we want, that we can just shuffle them in our deck. Then we have 3 Devolution Spray. As I said, it's like the first part of the combo where you Devolution Spray and re-evolve your Raichus to keep Paralyze up until your deck is pretty thin, so that you guarantee yourself to draw Pikachus and Raichus each turn. Then Rare Candy, of course, to set up Hydreigon. Super Rod. It's very good for early turns where you can't necessarily pull off your Brock's Grid Chain to just shuffle in back stuff, or like before you play Sycamore you can just Super Rod and still play Sycamore, so that's pretty fine. Then Ultra Ball, of course, to search Pokemon. Altar of the Moon. It's very important, for example, if one of your Sableye gets knocked out, then you don't have any free retreat in the deck, but you obviously want to promote another Sableye during your turn, so you will have the time to attach 1 Darkness Energy to one of your Zoroarks, or even to Hydreigon. Obviously you don't want to attach to Raichu because you just discard them, so yeah, to Zoroark or to Hydreigon. And then once Sableye gets knocked out, you promote the Hydreigon or Zoroark, then you can just retreat them for free thanks to Altar of the Moon, still allowing you to also use Sableye during that turn. Yeah, I already basically talked about supporter card. Bridget, set up basic Pokemon during your early turns. Brock's Grid, crucial for the combo. Gladion, if Brock's Grid is priced, or like whatever you need basically from your prizes, you just Gladion and pick it up. Guzma to stall. Lusamine, because the card is insanely broken in mill decks, because you can pick up her and another card. Like you can, I mean, it just wasn't smart by TPCI to not write a little sentence at the bottom that says you can't pick up Lusamine with this card, because basically only thanks to Lusamine and Brock's Grid this deck is even possible. Oh, okay, the Pokemon also make it possible, but yeah, like the general concept, because you just Brock's Grid, shuffle something in, next turn you just Lusamine, 4 Brock's Grid and Lusamine, and so on. So pretty basic, and like similar to what the other mill decks do by Lusamine for Handiwork and Lusamine, and then Handiwork the next turn, and so on. Yeah, N obviously draw support, but also doesn't have to discard your valuable resource, and Sycamore if you just want to throw everything away to get a quick setup. And last but not least, 4 Darkness Energies. So yeah, that's the deck and the concept behind everything. And yeah, I show you 2 to 3 games, but yeah, as you can imagine, this deck takes quite a lot of time, so we only have 1 game today, but it very well showcases how the deck works and what the deck wants to accomplish. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the game. And yeah, so in the game I'm going to show you we are up against Gardevoir, usually a deck that has pretty much no problems against any kind of mill decks, but yeah, as you will see, Sableye Raichu is not your usual kind of mill deck. And yeah, our starting hand is looking pretty good. For our first few turns we are mainly digging through our deck because we want to set up a board where we have where we get into a situation I explained during the deck profile, where we just have Zoroark, Hydreigon, Sableye and Raichu. So in the first few turns we don't really mind. As you will see, I just discard the rare candy because we don't mind discarding 1 rare candy, because as long as we get our board set up once, we are fine. And right now we actually already have 1 Zoroark and Hydreigon plus rare candy in hand. That's a pretty good opener, because you can pretty much sacrifice 5 prizes to your opponent and still win. So the earlier you can get your setup, so that you prevent your opponent from taking prize, the safer you are for the rest of the game. Because if he, let's say, draws only 1 prize or even 0, then you have 4 or 5 prizes that he can draw, where he can get lucky, or you with the Raichu or anything, to still stay in the game. But on the other side, if you get down to 1 prize, one thing has to go wrong and you're out. So getting the quickest setup as possible is very important. And yeah, so far doesn't look too bad. Just going to trade a Gladion away. And there we already have a Raichu as well. Out of the Moon, also a very good pickup for the first turn. We can take a look at our prices, and there we see Brock's Grid price. Brock's Grid is like the most important card in the deck, but we also want to have a Dino in play, because as I said, we already have Hydreigon Rare Candy, so we only had to get Dino or Hydreigon, and thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, but because the card exists in the first place, Luzamine can just get us back our second Gladion. If I would have known that I need 2 cards from my prize, I would have obviously not discard the Gladion with trade, but it's still fine. We're in a very decent position. So next turn we just Raichu a Dragon, Raichu his Sylveon, and then we can start digging for a Sableye and get even better setup. Because what's also very important to keep in mind, we definitely need a Dino to even be able to play the game, because if we don't have Hydreigon in play, we simply can't execute our game plan. But Brock's Grid is only really important once we are out of Devolution Spray and out of Super Rod, so that we can't shuffle in back our Raichus and Pikachus. Only then we really need Brock's Grid to shuffle back all the cards. So right now we're perfectly fine. We have the Altar of the Moon to kick his Perilous City. We can bench another Pikachu for next turn. We can Raichu his Sylveon. So all we need is an energy and a Sableye. And then we basically have the setup we need. And also Luzamine obviously would be very nice. And there, as you can see, I just discard Raichu and Pikachu because I would have otherwise discarded Super Rod. So I just decide it's worth to play the Super Rod, since we still have Brock's Grid in the prize cards. And there we have a Sableye, but unfortunately no energy, which is still fine, as long as he doesn't have like Gallade or a Gardevoir that can knock out our Hydreigon. Or Zoroark even, because he's very important as well. But we get another Zoroark in play. We also see that all of our energies are left in the deck, as we would have already known by checking our prize cards when we play Gladion, but just to confirm it, still 3 in the deck, 1 attached to Zoroark. And unfortunately still no Darkness energy, but as I said, his Sylveon is paralyzed, and if he uses Guzma this turn, I mean, it's still fine. Gets the DCE onto a Zoroark. So we will be able to pick up a prize if he has a Guzma, but he didn't. So we can actually Ultra Ball for another Raichu. And then keep on digging for Luzamine and a Darkness Energy. There's the Luzamine, and we still have 2 trades. Can trade away Bridget, don't need her anymore. Still not on his energy, but we can trade again. Let's see if we can get it now. And there we go. So now we have a perfectly set up board. That's all you can hope for. We have 2 Zoroark, we have Altar of the Moon in play, we have 2 Pikachus, or like basically 2 Pikachus. One of them is already Raichu, we have Hydreigon. So now all we need to literally have the perfect setup is next turn we lose a mine for Gladion, and the turn after we Gladion for Brock's Grid, and this way we have absolutely everything we can wish for. Because I have already another loser mine in hand, I decide to go for Guzma, just to like get back a card, because it didn't really matter what we take at this this point, as long as we have the Gladion. Trading away all the useless stuff, because eventually we just want to have a deck filled with Raichus and Pikachus, so that we can just trade, get Pikachu and Raichu, bench them after having discarded them with Hydreigon, and then always lose a mine to get back Brock. That's actually a very good showcase why Lusamine is so broken and should have been errated, or has to be errated, so that Lusamine can't back Lusamine, because only because of Lusamine this deck is possible. I mean, different mill decks like Hooper and Sylveon, they obviously benefit from Lusamine, but they could be played without her. But of course they would be way worse because they can't recycle a supporter, but they would be still possible. But Sableye just wants to be almost deck out and have like 4 or 5 cards in the deck and just draw them each turn. And you just can't deck out because you always lose a mine for Brock and lose a mine, and then you just lose a mine for Brock after you play Brock in the upcoming turn. So yeah, you will just not be deck out, and your opponent can't do anything because in this deck you have Sableye, prevent him from using supporter. So he can not use Guzma, cannot use... Okay, Acerora he won't be able to use anyways because we don't do damage, but he just can't use supporter cards. He can't end himself. So since we will never deck out because we just broke Grid after discarding with a Dragon, we will never deck out. But he basically, we just from now on, at this point, you see the cards in my deck. It's 4 cards in deck, and he has 27. And he just lost. There's no way for him to win, because even if he gets, I don't know, a switch which no deck plays, like aside from Volcanion, no other deck plays switch, so he has no option to switch his active Pokemon. Even if he had a switch, he switches, knocks out 1 Sableye, and then, yeah, well, I promote Zoroark, bench another Sableye, attach energy, retreat thanks to Altar of the Moon, and go from there again. So the only way why this deck is possible is because we have an infinite loop in our deck. So we just prevent our opponent from doing anything without actually like doing something to prevent him from doing it. Okay, obviously we are paralyzing him and stuff, but our main... Nah, actually it's 100% we're preventing him. What am I even talking about? But yeah, I think you get my point pretty well, that this deck is not healthy and Lusamine is not healthy, so yeah. And there's also not a whole lot for me to explain anymore regarding this deck, because from now on I will just do exactly the same thing for, yeah, he has 25 cards in deck for 25 more turns. So yeah, I don't think there's any point for me to yeah, explain anymore, so I will just speed up the process, because yeah, I don't think you want to watch 20 minutes of me doing the same thing every turn. So I just will speed up the video, and you will, in the end, you will see my opponent will be super tilted and he abuses all the time he has for every action. Like, he will for example, Secret Spring, and then he waits 20 seconds to dash the energy, or the same with Premonition, and basically all the ways he has to do an action each turn he will take most of time, like until the 15 seconds show up, and then in the last second he will play something. So yeah, I hope I was able to showcase the deck. And as you can see, actually my opponent had an option to still come back into the game, but it won't matter because, as I said, he can take a knockout and we're still easy to win. So yeah, I will see you guys next time, and I will leave you with the most enjoyable gameplay of your life.